All right, let's talk about something in English grammar that messes with everybody's head, modal verbs. But what if I told you they're actually way easier than they seem?
Have you ever just stopped and thought, wait, why is that? It just seems like one of those weird English rules you have to memorize, right? Well, I promise you, there's a simple, logical reason for it, and we're about to uncover it. The answer? It's all about this special little group of words called modal verbs. Just hang with me for a couple of minutes, and I guarantee you'll get why they work the way they do, and you'll be using them like a pro.
So, okay, what are modal verbs really? The absolute best way to think about them is like spices for your main verb. They're not the main ingredient, not the action itself, but they add all the flavor and meaning. They're the helpers that express things like can you or should you or must you. They add that all-important context.
And here's the best part, the thing that makes this so much easier. There are basically just 4 golden rules. That's it. If you can remember these 4 things, you've got it. You can throw away all those confusing grammar charts.
Okay, ready? Here they are. Rule 1, you never add an S for he, she, or it. It's always she can drive, not she cans drive. Rule 2, no to comes after them. This is the answer to our first question. It's he must go, not he must to go. 3, for questions, the modal verb just jumps to the front. Easy. Can I help? And finally, rule 4. To make something negative, you just pop a not right after it. You should not lie. Seriously, that's the foundation for everything.
All right, now that we've got the rules down, let's see these things in action. How do they actually work in a real conversation? We're going to start with 2 of the most common ones you'll use every single day, can and could. They're all about ability and permission. When we're talking about ability, the difference is super simple. It's just about time. Can is for right now, in the present. I can swim. Could is for the past, like she could read at age 5. It's an ability she had back then, but maybe not now.
Now, what about asking for permission? You can use both, but they have a totally different vibe. Can I come in is pretty casual, totally normal with friends. But if you want to be a bit more polite, maybe talking to a stranger or your boss, could is your go-to. Could I use your phone? It just sounds softer, you know, a little less direct.
Okay, next up, possibility. This is where modals help us talk about how sure we are about something. Is it a definite, a maybe, or a long shot?
This is where things get a little subtle. May and might both mean something is possible, but there's a slight difference in certainty. If you say, it may rain today, it sounds pretty likely. But if you say, it might rain today, you're suggesting it's a little less certain. It's a weaker possibility.
And just to round this out, remember that can also be about general truths or possibilities, like it can be dangerous. And may, well, that's also used for super formal permission. You probably wouldn't ask a friend, may I sit here? But you might say it in a very formal meeting.
Okay, let's switch gears to what I like to call the bossy modals. These are the ones we use for obligation and advice. All the stuff you have to do and the stuff you probably should do.
Now, this next one trips up so many people, the difference between must and have to. Here's the key. Must often comes from the speaker's own authority or a strong personal belief, like a parent saying, you must wear a helmet. Have to, on the other hand, is usually about an external rule or situation you can't control. I have to study tonight. Why? Because there's a test tomorrow. It's not my personal rule, it's a necessity.
In that same family, we've got should, which is perfect for giving friendly advice. It's not a rule, just a good idea. You should eat healthy. But on the total opposite end of the spectrum is must not. That's not advice. That's a strict, serious prohibition. You must not smoke here. It's a hard and fast rule.
All right, we're almost there. Let's wrap up with our last pair, will and would. We use these all the time for requests and, of course, for talking about the future.
This is going to sound familiar because it works just like can and could. You can use both for requests. Will you help me is pretty direct. But if you want to soften it and be a little more polite, you switch to would. Would you help me? It just feels a little nicer, right?
And, of course, the main job of will is talking about the future. I will call you tomorrow. Simple. But would has this other cool job. It can describe habits in the past. Like, when I was a kid, I would play outside all day. It paints a picture of something you used to do over and over.
Whew, okay, that was a lot, but here it all is, all in one place. This little table is basically your cheat sheet. It sums up the main job of every modal verb we've talked about. Go ahead and pause here if you want, maybe even take a screenshot. This is super handy to have.
Okay, enough of me talking. The best way to really get this stuff is to use it. So how about a quick practice challenge to see if it's all sticking?
Let's try this one first. Fill in the blank. You blank stop at the red light. So, think about it. Is this a friendly suggestion, a possibility, or is it a really strong rule?
Yep, the answer has to be must. A red light isn't a suggestion, it's a law. It's a strong obligation. Should is way too weak, and can just doesn't fit. So you must stop.
Okay, how about one more? Let's say you want to borrow a pen. The sentence is, blank, I borrow your pen. What could you put in there? What are your options?
This is a bit of a trick question because there are actually 3 perfect answers. It just depends on the situation. Can I borrow your pen is great for a friend. Could I borrow your pen is a little more polite. And may I borrow your pen is what you'd use if you wanted to be really formal. It all just comes down to who you're talking to.
And that's really all there is to it. See? Not so scary. It really boils down to those 4 simple rules and knowing the right vibe for each situation. You've now got all the tools you need to use these things perfectly. So, the only question is, which modal verb are you going to use first?